Like the number of times I forgot to close the curtains when I go into the bathroom and people across had an eyeful. It is a concern on these cabins for sure.
Because I put my shoes on there. And she's like, it's not for shoes. And now I know that you've put your shoes on. I'm now, that's just dirty. I was like...
I think it's very powerfully enacted when they reveal it to you to make you notice that. Like, oh my God, wow, there's an entire orchestra. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this latest episode of Magically Cruising, the cruise and travel podcast where we share our personal cruise tips and reviews to help you make the most out of your next holiday. My name's Kieran, an independent travel agent specializing in all things cruise, Disney, North America, and I'm joined by my fellow co-host.
Hi, I'm Sarah. I am a travel and cruise writer over at Mini Travelers.
And today, Sarah, we are going to talk about the ship that we've not stopped talking about, I think, for the last year. We're going to talk about Legend of the Seas, because I was very fortunate to get invited onto the 4-night pre-inaugural kind of media and travel agent preview sailing. And there's a lot to talk about this ship. I really don't feel like even in 4 nights that I got the chance to experience even half of what this incredible ship has to offer.
There's a lot to unpick, isn't there? Because 4 days isn't enough. I mean, I found a week not enough on an Oasis class ship. So
yeah,
I don't know. And where do we even start with this one?
Yeah, it's such a crazy one. Like, even now, when I try and when someone asks me, like, so how was it? I'm like, I don't know where to begin. There's just so much about this ship to love. There's so much to kind of think about. It was a bit of an unusual sailing because it was a kind of media. So there was a lot of like media. There were some influencers. There were some Pinnacle members. There was a lot of travel agents. It was a bit of an unusual crowd because there were very few kids on board. So I think that puts a little bit more pressure on some venues like the Promenade during the evenings where there's going to be a lot of travel agents, a lot of people without kids looking for things to do in the evening, particularly the bars. So like the Julian Piano Bar was very heavily hit in the evenings. Like you couldn't walk into there. And we were asking the pianist, the piano player, is it normally like this on a typical sailing? They were like, no, this is a very unusual sailing because obviously it's a free bar. Surprise, spoiler, kind of inside secret. It was a free bar and it was very people with no kids. So a lot of the kind of crowd distribution wasn't spread out like it would normally be on a typical kind of sailing with normal regular guests where they're going to have families and, you know, grandparents and kids and things like that. Like it was a bit of an unusual crowd. So the ship didn't feel, I think, the same as it will on an actual guest sailing, but it was a great chance to try some incredible things. Like we got to try Royal Railroad, the new dining experience. I got to try chops and I got to try the hibachi. I didn't get to do any water slides, which really upset me, but I got to kind of see Playmakers. I got to see all the shows apart from the headline show. So I got to see Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the ice skating show, the Aquadome show, got to try lots of food. So I got to try a lot, but yeah, it's just so much to talk about this incredible ship.
So I suppose my first question is, so this is an icon class, yes?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
So how is it different from an Oasis?
Same but different is the best way I can explain it. She is bigger, so the Icon class is bigger than the Oasis class. And don't ask me exactly by how much, but it is definitely bigger. The Promenade is definitely bigger. Central Park feels bigger. And the boardwalk is different on this class. So they've kind of mixed up some of the spaces. But I think if you've been on an Oasis class ship, you'll get the rough concept. You have the Promenade. You have Central Park. The access is very different. So Central Park is actually above the Promenade. So like it is in a completely different place, but you have that same kind of concept of the inside space where you have kind of balconies facing into the Central Park and also facing into kind of the boardwalk or into Surfside as it is on the Icon class. So you still have that kind of dual structure, I guess, if that makes sense, similar to how an Oasis class works.
So on Oasis, Central Park is above the Promenade.
Is it partially though, isn't it? Or...
Yeah, because you go in the Rising Tide bar to go up to Central Park.
Oh,
and then behind
you, yes.
Yeah, then behind you, you've got the boardwalk. And
okay, yes.
That's the bit that I think I'll miss, the boardwalk, because I really like that outside space.
Yeah.
So is there any outside space for adults now, or is that gone?
Yeah, so I guess like they have the same neighborhood concept. The 3 main ones on the lower area, as you say, then is going to be the promenades. And I think as you walk in, you've got the Pearl. And the Pearl is absolutely incredible. And it's this giant structure. It's an incredible art installation that on Legend has been kind of enhanced. It's a bit different than what it is on Icon and Star. So it's got a different kind of video and lighting installation, and it's incredible. It changes in time with the events that are happening on the Promenade, but that leads into the Pearl Cafe. So where you kind of got Cafe Promenade, instead you've got Pearl Cafe, which is a whole giant venue at the top of the Pearl, overlooking floor to ceiling. It's like 2-story high glass looking out to the ocean. It's a really lovely space. So there's a lot more natural light in the center of the Promenade anyway, because you've got this giant 2-story bit of glass looking out to the ocean. I would say you do lose the boardwalk, and some of the venues then have been reconfigured. So, for example, where is it? Playmakers isn't on the boardwalk. It's not on Surfside or Central Park. It's actually inside the ship, and it's kind of towards the back of the ship. It's a really weird place to explain, but it's kind of as you're walking towards Surfside, which is the kids' space, which is the equivalent of where Boardwalk is actually kind of down to the left, looking down the one side of the ship. You go through Playmakers, and then you then go through that to get to the ice skating rink, because the ice skating rink's in a different place as well on this ship. It's all a bit same venues, but different places on the ship.
Does it flow?
It does. It feels, it doesn't, it's got a very different flow. I think the Oasis class feels like you're transitioning from one space to the next space to the next space. I feel like the Icon class, or at least Legend, and I believe Star and Icon are the same, because they've pretty much got the same venues, just different design. It feels like more separate spaces. I think each space feels a little more separated rather than one completely flowing place. So like Surfside, you can technically walk from Surfside through to Central Park, like you can on the Oasis class, go from Boardwalk to Central Park, but it just feels bigger. It feels like there's more distance between the two of them, so it's not like one continuous walk. It feels like you're going from one zone to another zone, so I feel like the neighborhoods are a little bit more defined, more so than they are in the Oasis class.
Okay, so your cabin was over the Pearl, wasn't it? Just tell me about that.
It was. Yeah, so we had an infinite balcony cabin, an infinite balcony Central Park facing, which before I went on board, I was being a bit of a spoiled brat about, because I was a bit like, I don't think I'm going to enjoy this cabin. I'm not a fan of the infinites, and I wasn't particularly happy with our allocation because we are directly above the Pearl. So the structure of the Pearl kind of leans into Central Park a little bit, and our balcony cabin was on top of the Pearl, basically. So our view was slightly obstructed looking into Central Park. Only below. Looking out was perfectly fine. It just meant that if we stood at our balcony and looked down, we were looking onto the roof of the Pearl rather than looking onto Central Park. So I was being a bit of a brat about that. However, in hindsight, I actually think it's probably one of the better locations, because you have a bit more privacy, because people can't look up into your cabin from Central Park. So actually, I kind of was a bit grateful for it in the long run, because the infinite balconies, if anybody's been on Celebrity Apex, they now have the same kind of, you don't have a balcony, you have a mini conservatory, so to say, with a raisable or lowerable kind of glass, that partition that becomes your balcony cabin. So the privacy is a bit of a concern on these cabins, because unless you close your curtains or the blind, which makes it completely black out, people can see right into your cabin. Like the number of times I forgot to close the curtains when I got out of the bathroom and people across had an eyeful. It is a concern on these cabins for sure.
So are the ocean facing balconies infinity as well?
They have some, yes. I believe, don't quote me on this, but I believe they have more infinite sea-facing balconies than they have traditional balconies. Don't quote me on that, but there are a lot more of them than I first anticipated. So I thought there was a handful, but there are actually quite a lot of the infinite balconies facing the ocean as well as facing into Central Park. But if you go towards the higher decks, which is what we're booked on to next year, is the higher decks ones, they're traditional balconies. Some of the ones at the back of the ship are also traditional balconies as well. So there's a nice mix, but I feel like they're pushing forward with this infinite balcony concept more.
I suppose it's really clever for cleaning, isn't it? I mean, you just go along the ship. It just makes more sense from a hygiene point of view, where you're not doing every separate balcony, and it makes it easier. But I didn't mind it. I think people are Marmite about it, aren't they? But I really didn't mind it.
I got used to it, and you do get extra space. That's the one thing. So when you're inside your cabin and you've got kind of the glass up, the cabin space feels bigger. And if you're somebody who likes to see outside and see light, you do get more natural light, because obviously it's floor to ceiling glass. So kind of it was lovely from that point of view. And I did think probably if I was in an ocean facing one, I probably would love it. It was mainly because we were in Central Park, and like I say, if I was laying in bed and I didn't have the blinds down or the curtains closed, I could literally look straight across into somebody else's balcony directly across. The view is slightly obstructed because the angle and lighting and all that type of stuff, you don't see straight into somebody else's every single time, but you can definitely see into other people's kind of cabins directly across from you. And from Central Park is a bit harder because you're looking up at them. But yeah, you do feel a little bit like you're in a fishbowl, and somebody across from you can see into your cabin a little bit.
So I'm just looking up now over your shoulder. So that's Surfside. So they've got balcony
Hmm.
cabins as well on Surfside, haven't they? And
Yeah.
Infinity, looking at that.
Not so much Infinity, and I thought they did. So Surfside's a bit different. Surfside is completely now dedicated to families. So the district itself is kind of where the kids' splash pad is where the baby splash pad is. There's a specialty dining down there. There's a casual eatery down there that does like chicken nuggets and burgers and things. It's a floor above Adventure Ocean, so kind of like the kids clubs and Surfside are all pretty much right next door to each other, so it's great from that point of view. There's a slide going down into there. This is where the arcade is, so it's kind of like they've created this little bubble for families, and then all of the balconies that overlook Surfside facing inside to the ship, they have more traditional balconies, but some of them are kind of family suites. So you actually, what you're probably seeing on my picture, and it's very hard to explain, it's as if there's almost two cabins next door to each other, but they're Surfside suites. So you actually get cabins that can sleep up to 6 people, because you get the traditional bed, which is where the glass is, what you're seeing. That glass doesn't come down or open. That's just fixed glass.
Right.
And then next door to that is where there's usually like bunk beds or a sofa bed or a second bed type of thing. So they do like 4s and 6s basically. So it's great for families. Like we had a look around some of them. They're really cool that they've got like the kind of L-shaped bunk beds where the person on the top has their own TV and the other kid at the bottom has their own TV. So if you've got slightly larger families, they're great for that. And again, if the kids want to have kind of a view of all the fun kids activities, then it's a great space to kind of put the families.
Well, it's a really clever concept, isn't it? Because there's a pool on there and slides on there. So I suppose, again, it's another really thing that Royal Caribbean do very well. They're because the ship's growing, they're channeling people even better. So that, I mean, obviously there's all that stuff on the top deck, so you're still going to get families there, and of course they should be up there. It's it's a ship for everybody, but the people with the little toddlers, it's a bit more shaded. Everything's in one place. They can get something to eat. It just makes life so much easier for parents.
100%. And what's really cool as well then is so Thrill Island, which is kind of the water park area, is also at the back of the ship. So that's where like the water slides are. It's where Crown's Edge is. It's where the Sportsplex is. It's where the golf course is. That's all at the back of the ship as well. So if you are somebody with a family and you're multi-gen or whatever, you can kind of book a cabin in Surfside, and pretty much you can use that same elevator bank to go to where the water park is, to where all the kids' activities are on the top deck for the more, I would say, teen kids type of thing. But then you've also got then Surfside, which is where kind of the arcade is, the kids' clubs and all that type of stuff. So they're kind of, as you say, they're not stuck, but they're in a really close proximity to each other to get to those two different kind of family-friendly spaces. Whereas if you're maybe in Central Park, directly above Central Park is Chill Island, which is where the kind of traditional pool is where Lime and Coconut is where the swim-up bar is. So again, those more kind of adult-orientated pool spaces, again, are where Central Park is, and directly above that is kind of the more, less kid-friendly spaces. Again, they're all open to each other. The adult-only space is located right at the very back of the ship, Hideaway Bay. But yeah, if that makes sense. So kind of the more relaxing spaces are directly above and below each other, and the more family spaces directly above and below each other as well. So I think it's a really great concept, at least anyway, to have those two blocks dedicated to those two different types of cruising.
So I'm just looking now. So is Hideaway Bay at the front, not the back? Because
no, Hideaway Bay is at the very, very back.
So below the Flow Rider?
Flow Rider is on the one side of it. So Hideaway Bay is a bit weird, basically. You go past Thrill Island or past all the water park and past the golf things, and it's over on the one side. The entrance is on. If you're looking, say, out after the ship, it's on the right-hand side. There's like a little sign there. I say a little sign. There's a big sign there that says like Hideaway Bay. As you walk into it, it's almost like an S-shaped zigzag that you kind of go in. You go down a couple of stairs, and there's loads of tiered sunbeds that you go into. Then you go down, and that's where the cantilevered pool is that overlooks the edge of the ship, of the kind of back of the ship. So it's floating above kind of the kids area directly beneath you. So it's raised up in the air. I think I'm facing the wrong. You won't see her in the picture type of thing, but it's kind of that float. You know where the Ultimate Abyss is? On the Oasis class. Imagine you go beyond that and there's like a little pronged out bit underneath that. That's where Hideaway Bay is underneath that. And you kind of go down. And once you go into the stairs on the one side, it's kind of one continuous kind of adult only space then, where there's like a bar, the pool area that is kind of the infinity edge when that looks over the edge of the ship, and then a load of sun lounges on the opposite side from where the bar is, where the DJ usually plays as well.
We're not going to be getting up in Rome, are we? I'm going to be on the ship.
No, that's what I'm looking forward to, because it was quite busy, because we had 3 sea days and 1 port day, and the 1 port day was a tender port. So a lot of people
Right.
did stay on the ship. And obviously, again, it was a media preview. So there was a lot of free bar going on, a lot of drinking. So a lot of people stayed on the ship. And it was one of those, like, I think this would be quite nice when people are spread out a bit more and there's a bit more breathing room, especially for Hideaway Bay. It is a bit of a sun trap, is my only concern, from a kind of, there's not a lot of shade at Hideaway Bay unless you're sat at the bar. That's the only thing you've got to be careful with it.
But then I suppose you've got the other ports, which are going to be quieter because everything's more channeled, that you don't have to go there to get relaxing time either.
No.
So that's a real bonus.
What you'll find is probably like the Lime and Coconut Swimmer Bar tends to be a bit more in the shade, again, depending on which way round the ship is facing. On the day it was in port, it was completely in the shade, so it was really lovely. We never made it into it. Again, I just didn't have enough time to do everything on the ship. I went to Hideaway Bay to film it, and then I left, basically, so I didn't get to see that very much. There is another kind of sun lounger area that's really difficult to get to. I tried to get up there so many times and kept getting lost, but it's got a name. I think it's Cloud9. Don't quote me on this, but there's another raised sun lounger deck that is just sun loungers and a little bit of a hidden area at the top. Most people on the Icon, the other Icon ships, say that that tends to be a bit more adult only, because there's nothing up there for kids and it's a little bit out of the way to get to. So it kind of becomes another kind of quiet space to get in the sun. And again, because it's where the aft I think the chimney stack, or at least the bit that kind of protrudes up from the ship, it kind of, again, there's partial shading depending on which way the ship's facing there as well.
Before we move on, like, how easy did you find the ship to get about, and what were your first impressions? Just as soon as you walked on the ship, how did you feel?
She makes an incredible first impression, because obviously you enter into the promenade and directly in front of you, you've got the Pearl. And I can't express just how amazing that is to walk on and just see it kind of changing color, doing its light thing. It's a really impressive structure in itself. You obviously get that Royal Caribbean welcome where you had steel drums playing in the background because they're performing in like the stage in the promenade. You've got all the different venues. You've got all the crew welcoming you on. But the Pearl as well is kind of lit from behind them because it's got the kind of floor to ceiling glass as well. So it just creates this really lovely, like, opening up into this really big open space. They do a really good job because there are technically 2 entrances. So they stagger you. So it's never as if like you're all just rushing into the one entrance. They load you into the one side, and then once that's a bit backlogged, they let you in on the other side of it. So there's always just kind of this yin and yang, push and flow kind of the 2 different entrances. So it never felt like, oh, there's too many people here, I'm overwhelmed. People kind of go in, they obviously see the Pearl. You're invited to go up to Pearl Cafe and go along the upper deck of the promenade, or head off and see some of the other venues. I never felt like it was, and we were about 4,000 guests, which is a lot for a preview sailing. So it wasn't as if it was dead on board. It was definitely a decent occupancy rate. And I think on average, he sails with about 5,500. It's only ever if every single kid's berth is full that she goes up to 7,000. So it was a pretty big sailing. I think once the kids are on board, but again, they're going to be in Surfside and the kids club. So it never felt busy.
No. And well, I mean, I know we don't sail in the holidays, so that makes a big difference. But you don't notice the kids that much anyway, because they're all off doing stuff and in different areas. So I think that's just something that really works on Royal Caribbean. So your cabin, how was your cabin? Because obviously it's a brand new cabin.
Yeah, well, somebody had been in there because we did find a peanut on the floor, but that's by the by. So we were I wanted bragging rights of like, we're the first ever people in this cabin. I was like, so I don't think I can officially say I was the first ever person. I think some crew member had been in our cabin before us. But, you know, I've grown to love Royal Caribbean's cabins, especially on their newer ships. I love the one on Spectrum. I love my cabin on Wonder. I don't think they're the plushest cabins at sea, but there's tons of storage. And I really appreciate the amount of storage and how thoughtful kind of things like that are. There's just small little details, like where the TV is on the wall. On the side of it, there's like this little shelving stack with little tiny, they're only like little tiny, I would say, probably 20 centimeters by 20 centimeter deep shelves, but they're really handy for putting things like your keys on, jewelry if you wanted them handy, baseball caps. Like, we were just storing things like that. But it's just nice that there's lots of places to put things rather than just, oh, you got your chest of drawers, enjoy your storage. I think Royal do a really good job of thinking about like how do families actually use a cabin and making sure that there's options rather than it being just, like I say, you've got one place to put things, and if you don't enjoy that, tough.
What did I have on my Celebrity Apex post? I had a comment on the video, and this lady was like, because I put my shoes on there, and she's like, it's not for shoes, and now I know that you've put your shoes on, I'm now, that's just dirty. I was like, I pay a lot of money.
Really?
I pay a lot of money for my shoes. I'm not shoving them all in the bottom of a wardrobe. And just, I'm sure the cabin steward will clean them. And if you're that bothered, take wipes. It's like, I
Yeah.
think that if you spend on your shoes, you don't want to shove them in the bottom of a wardrobe so they'll get
No.
damaged. So that's what I think it's for.
Everyone's different as well, though. Like, everyone puts stuff in different places. Like, that's the whole point of them giving you all these different storage
Well,
options. Like, I put my dirty underwear in the drawer that people probably put their jewelry in. Like, that's just, it's what people do. They use cabins differently. Like, you can't blame somebody else for how they choose to use a cabin. Some people take lots of magnetic hooks on. I can't stand them.
and that's why they clean the cabins because,
Exactly.
oh, yeah, some people, but yeah, just. So sorry, the bathroom, was it a corner shower? Because I do like that about the Odyssey and what class are they? Quantum class. I love the fact they've got nice big corner showers.
Yeah, they definitely do. I think there's the storage in the bathroom isn't as generous. Is a bit of a weird storage situation, I think. And I will put my cabin tours up. I haven't yet posted them live yet. I've been focused on getting my kind of overview video out. But yeah, there's a weird shelf in there, which threw a lot of people because there's like, as you go into the shower, at the back side of the shower, there is a full, like, not only like, I don't know, 20, 30 centimeters deep shelf for you to sit on. And a lot of people were kind of commenting like, oh, have I been given an accessible cabin? I was like, no, that's in everyone's cabins. Like there's a step to get into the bathroom. But there is a seat in there, which I think is more for like people who want to shave, but also I think is a nice concession to have that if you are somebody who's got low mobility, but you're not fully, in an accessible cabin, you have the option to kind of sit down if you needed to in the bathroom as well. I'm guessing it's there for families as well. If they've got little ones that they need to like raise up or whatever, they can do that as well. So everyone commented. I haven't been in every single cabin type. I unfortunately missed a lot of the cabin tours. But everyone I spoke to all commented that they all had this little mini seat in all their showers as well.
So, Central Park, because I love Central Park. Has that still got the same vibe and the same feeling about it?
Yeah, definitely. I was only on Wonder briefly, so I didn't spend an awful lot of time in there, but you definitely still have that incredible outdoor park space. You've obviously got all the real plants on there. I think the figure I came away with, there are 30,000 real plants in Central Park on board the Icon class, so it is a lovely space. They obviously have like birds chirping during the daytime and crickets chirping in the nighttime, so it does kind of lull you into the sense of it is a nice park to go through. I feel like it's a bit more winding, so a bit more kind of like zigzaggy on the Icon class, just because the nature of the Pearl taking up quite a lot of space, and I think they've just designed it that way. You obviously have a lot more venues on there as well. So you have the Trellis Bar, there's a Bubbles Bar on there as well now. You've got Izumi in the park, so you can get kind of sushi to go, light bites in the Central Park now as well. The Izumi Hibachi and Sushi Restaurant is located in Central Park. There's a venue that I only saw once called Lou's. I couldn't tell you what the vibe is, but they were playing live music the one night, and it seemed to be a bit more like a Cuban vibe, I think. But there was definitely like a live music venue playing in the evenings there as well. That was kind of indoors, but open-doored, if that makes sense. So covered, I guess, is the right word.
Did you go to the Bubbles? Because I'm really excited about that, because I was gutted when they took the champagne bars away.
I didn't, but everyone was raving about it who did go. They said there's lovely pink champagne there that is on my list to do when we go back on in October.
Because you never get pink fizz on Royal Caribbean, and that is always a downside. Like, I think you've got Whispering Angel, so that's like a poor relative for pink fizz. But I mean, it's not poor, but you know what I mean. If you want pink fizz, then that's your next best thing.
Yeah.
Because I don't like white fizz as much. But yeah, so I'm really glad, because I really used to love going for pre-dinner drinks and having a glass of pink fizz, and so I'm glad that's a thing that's come back.
Yeah, we didn't. I think because we were invited to dinners, you couldn't book any of the specialty restaurants. You were invited by Royal Caribbean to them, so we didn't pick the timings for any of our meals, and all our meals were very early. They were all 6 p.m. We never dine at 6 p.m. type of thing, so I don't think we had much time for kind of pre-dinner drinks. We were pretty much going to the restaurants for our pre-dinner drinks. So yeah, I don't think I had much time to explore many of the bars, and then after meals, because again, specialty meals never end. They go on for hours. We would then go into like the Julian Piano Bar or go into like Schooner or something like that then for like a drink or two.
So dining, what did you tell me about the food? Tell me about the dining, because I was watching it just so jealous.
Everyone was jealous. Like, my name in the travel industry is Muck, because somehow I got invited to speciality on all 4 nights of our sailing. So 3 of them we were invited before voyage. So we were very lucky, and I still don't know how I got this, but the first night we were invited to do Royal Railroad. The second night, because I'm on the advisory panel, the whole advisory panel were invited to do the hibachi on the second night. And then on the 4th night, we were invited to do Izumi sushi. by our local sales manager. However, there was a bit of a confusion, and the CEO of Royal Caribbean Group was invited on, and they decided to have a business meeting at the same time and took over Izumi Sushi. So we were all kicked out, but I got an upgrade and we went to Chops instead.
Oh, brilliant. So what did you
And
think
then
of the railway then? Oh, go on.
Well, we
Go
were
on.
invited twice as well then. So they did like a scavenger hunt, an interactive scavenger hunt where you had to like learn facts and answer quizzes and everything. And I then won a second night at Royal Railroad. But unfortunately,
Right.
I was hungover and didn't actually make it to that. But Phil went by himself. So
Oh.
Phil did Royal Railroad twice. I did it once.
So what was it like? Tell me about the experience of Royal Railroad. Just tell me everything about that.
It's incredible. It is expensive. I just want to get that out there. It is expensive, and the value for it will vary by your personal means. You're looking at like $130 plus per person. So there's no denying it's a very expensive experience, but it is incredible. It is definitely something that I'm very grateful to have done. And I'll start with this. When we finished it, I was like, oh my God, it was amazing. It was incredible. I loved it. I'm not sure I would ever pay to do it again. Now that we're off the ship, though, and we're looking back at photos and we're thinking about like all the things we've done, we're like, oh, should we do it again when we go in October? So definitely it left enough of an impression that ticket shock is a lot. Like it is a lot of money. But it's definitely something that I've come off now, and I'm going like, oh, it would actually be really nice to do it again. Like it is a really incredible experience and really magical when you get to do it.
But don't do it again and then go, oh, I don't want to do it in May.
Well, we need to have a chat and work out, because we didn't get invited to Hollywoodland, and I think we should do Hollywoodland. But if you want to do Railroads and Hollywoodland, if we could justify it, I think we do them both.
Yeah, definitely.
Right, so, all the meals.
So how does it work? So you go into a train station?
Yeah, so from my understanding, Utopia of the Seas has the train experience but doesn't have the pre-departure experience, from my understanding. I don't know that as a fact, but from what I was told. So as you kind of go into Legend Station, it's located in the upper deck of the Promenade. So there's a little area that looks like a bit of a kind of Italian, almost kind of Mediterranean-esque seaside train station entrance. And as you go, you get given a ticket, which I don't know where it is. It should be probably in my... But you do get this... Yeah, here we go. Yeah, this really you'll probably only see this on the video version, and my virtual background is not letting it come. But you get this beautiful ticket in your cabin that invites you to do the Silk Route. So that's the one. So there's different stories basically. On Utopia of the Seas, it is the Western route. So you're going through kind of the outback Western of Americas. Whereas on Legend of the Seas, they have a new route called the Silk Route, where you're following the trail of Marco Polo. So you're supposed to, we didn't, we were like, I'm not giving my ticket and I want to keep that as a bit of a memento type of thing. So that's on your cabin, like most specialty dinner requests are type of thing. And then when you go, they kind of take your ticket and stamp it. We were like, oh no, sorry, we didn't know we were meant to bring it. So we got to keep our ticket. But yeah, as you walk in, there's kind of like a bit of a retro-esque kind of, it's very like the kind of golden era of train journeys anyways. There's lots of like luggage there, vintage luggage and everything. And as you enter into there, they kind of have a photographer to take your photo. They have cocktails that are only available at the Caboose Lounge. So there's a pre-departure lounge you go to about 30 minutes beforehand, where you can get cocktails and drinks and things like that, and just kind of mingle as you're waiting for your train to depart. There's a whole storyline behind it, or theming, where kind of like the conductor comes out and says, we will now be boarding carriage number, because obviously your ticket. So your carriage 73 will be boarding in 10 minutes time. And then you're guided into the train and you kind of sit down in your seat. You're given your seating allocation. And it's very much kind of inspired by that kind of the Orient Express, kind of that vintage train dining experience. And your host comes out and just explains kind of what we're doing. We're going to be following the Silk Route, and it starts in China, goes all the way across Asia, and ends kind of via Persia, Turkey, and ends in Italy, basically. That's the whole point of it. And every country is a different course. So I can never remember every single item. I've got pictures of the menu, but the first course, for example, in China, you get dim sums. So you get 3 different dim sums. But what's so really magical about it is kind of as the whistle blows and the train starts, your seat starts vibrating as if it's simulating the engine starting, but then all the blinds just open up. And then you kind of reveal the scenery then, which is all like computer graphics. It's not photorealistic, it's animated, but it's kind of animated scenes of you passing through kind of China, and you go past Chinese temples, you go past farming fields, you go past small villages. Like the scenery is always changing. And what I really appreciated, and I don't know whether or not it was just I never spotted it, but it seemed to me like the video graphics were different on each side. So things that were on our side, I never spotted stuff on our window that was on the opposite side from us. So you constantly, like, there's different scenery on both sides of the train as well. And then kind of the conductor and the cast come out and it's not, I believe that the cowboy version's a bit more like a train heist happens. This one's a lot less like that. And they just kind of say to you about what Marco Polo would have found, basically. So as he was going through China, they discovered, I can't remember the exact storyline, but like spices, for example. So they discovered a whole new spices that weren't available in Europe type of thing. And the traditions of Chinese culture is to share meals and things like that. So they give you like a little bit of an insight into the different cultures that you're going through as well. And kind of like when we get to Turkey, they bring out this really lovely you go to Cappadocia, so the kind of the hot air balloon festival. So they bring out the bread basket, and it is a basket full of breads, but it's a hot air balloon as well. And they put that on the table, and you can see all the balloons floating in the background on the screens and everything. And they share like a Turkish custom is to break bread with another person. So you're supposed to, with the person you're sharing the table with, tear the bread open to share it, to put in the dip. Obviously feels gluten free, so we didn't do that. But like there's lots of like little customs and insights like that as well. So it is a really magical experience. And then you end in Venice. You're arriving in Venice for Carnival. They come out and they give you a Venetian mask, which I don't know if you saw the video of me wearing it. I look like so-and-so wearing a Venetian mask. But what's really cool is as you're sailing in, you go past like the coast of Venice or coast of Italy, and you see Legend of the Seas in the ocean outside the train type of thing as you're coming back to the ship. And then you get into Venice itself then, and it's Carnival, and obviously all the actors outside on the screens or the characters are wearing masks, and you're wearing your mask, and you get this lovely like quad dessert plate type of thing. Oh, one course I forgot about. Sorry, Persia. Really, really cool moment. Sorry, when you go to Persia, is your palate cleanser, and you get given a pistachio sorbet ice cream, but it comes out in a genie's lamp, which actually blows smoke coming out of it, and your ice cream's on top of it. It's this really kind of cool moment as they kind of place it all down. The timing of it all is immaculate. The theming behind it all is incredible. Like it just feels like this really lovely high-end dining experience type of thing, and it's all very well serviced. The storyline, the characters. When you go through India, they come out and like they're doing holy festivals, so they're like obviously doing all the clouds of color smoke everywhere, all the powder, and then your conductor comes on and he's kind of like doing I just got caught up in the festival outside, and he comes dressed in a costume where he's been covered in all the different powders and everything for it. So it is an incredible immersive experience, and I think it's definitely something everyone should try at least once.
So drinks, are drinks included, or is that just part of your drinks package?
Part of your drinks package. I never got to the bottom of this because we didn't get charged for our drinks, but other people did. And I'm not sure if they are typically included. Let me get the menu because I believe the drinks, isn't it? Drinks up to 14 are included. Yeah, drinks are $14. So they should in theory be included in your drinks package, but I don't know as a matter of fact because where we were on a preview sailing, somebody else ordered a cocktail and they were presented with a bill. The second time Phil went, he was told because it's a preview sailing, he'll get 20% discount on them, but then for some reason they were comped. So I don't actually know the official answer, as to are they included or are they part of the drinks package? Yeah, it's a tough one because it was a preview sailing. I don't actually know what the official rule is, but we definitely didn't pay for our drinks.
And was the drink service good? Because sometimes with stuff like that, like were they on the ball with the drink?
So the official storyline reason is they'll bring the drinks out when the train passes through each country. So they won't serve drinks while you're being served your meal, but then once the meal's served, probably before your next meal comes, they'll bring another drink in basically. But yeah, we got looked after very well, like every single country. And I think I just found the map now of where you go to. So we visited 1, 2, 4, 5 countries, and we got a drink pretty much for every country plus one before we got on board. So we didn't struggle to get drink services at all. They were very on the ball. Like the one time we didn't even order it, he just went, I just bought you another one. I was like, okay, cool.
So it's quite a long service then, isn't it?
90 minutes in total, the experience is.
Oh, all right, so it's not that long then, is it?
I think like you get 30 minutes pre-departure in the caboose lounge if you came in the train station, and then the journey is 90 minutes with a bit of obviously beginning and end before the train starts when the storyline's explained. But they do say to you, they technically, I'm sure if you try to, you could leave, but they do ask you to not go to the restroom while the train is in motion, because I don't know if there's a reason why. I don't know whether it breaks the immersion. I couldn't tell you, but they do ask you to not leave the train, the cabin, your carriage, whilst the train is moving. So you do have to hold your bladder the entire time, but I'm sure if you were desperate, you could leave.
So is that for the whole hour?
For the whole hour and a half, they ask you to not. They do tell you multiple times before you get in the carriage that they give you a storyline reason for it is you are going to be traveling across Asia. The train will not be stopping, and there is no restroom on the carriage. So please make sure you go to the restrooms before you get on board because it could be 90 minutes before you get the chance to. I don't know if it's not. I never tried. I never tried to leave, and other people I spoke to never tried to leave either. I don't know whether or not they would physically stop you. I don't think they would physically stop you, but they just kind of, I think it's more because it's quite fast-paced dinner. So I think it's just more to make sure that you don't miss something. And I don't know if the restroom's
No.
like a bit of a trek. I think it's just more, there's a lot going
Yeah.
on. There's actors walking up and down the train and everything. I think it's just purely for their safety, your safety. It's just easier if you don't. But I'm sure if you had an emergency, they would make it work.
Just saying. Oh. So, what other dining did you do, and what did you think of it?
We did the hibachi, which, as somebody who's never done hibachi till Royal Caribbean, I then have now done hibachi twice type of thing. And it is a lot of fun. I was a bit let down by the portion size. And when I did it on Spectrum, I was like rolled out of the Spectrum teppanyaki. There was just so much food type of thing. Whereas I felt like there wasn't that much food on this one. Don't know if that's normal, and just because I was hosted by Ben Bowden on the last one, the president, I was kind of like overindulged with food, and what I had on this one was the normal portion, or I don't know whether because it was a preview they didn't give us much, they weren't as generous with portions, but like I had a bowl of rice, I had the steak, which was lovely, the food was incredible, the entertainment was incredible, like it's an amazing experience, but I definitely left there hungry, which I think then goes into my reasons why I may have had a bigger hangover than I anticipated, because I don't think I ate as much as I was expecting to.
That's bonkers, because, I mean, I've never been able to finish it, ever, and they'd give you more if you wanted more.
I think it's because it
So
was a preview sailing, and obviously bear in
yeah.
mind it was complimentary, so I don't know whether it was a kind of a bit of a, don't go too crazy with the portion sizes. Like, it was just something I noticed compared to when I went on board on Spectrum. I was rolled off that restaurant. Like, I had to be forklifted off the chair type of thing. Like, I was like, I can't eat a single bite more. I asked for 2 different desserts, and I was told they didn't say no to me. He kind of implied, oh, it's not possible, you can only have 1 dessert. And I was like, well, can I have at least one of the sesame balls then, rather than the full set of 3 type of thing? I then got both desserts, but I just felt a little bit like they were very aware of not giving away too much food in her hibachi, at least anyway. So I'll find out. We're doing it again, I think. I think Phil's booked it when we go in October. So I'll report back of if it was, oh yeah, it was a preview thing.
Yeah, because I mean, the 2 times I've done it on Royal, I've loved it, really loved it. So that's surprising. And what about chops?
Like it was great. Like it was great. I loved the food. The food was incredible, really flavorful. The experience was amazing. I laughed non-stop type of thing. I can't fault that. It was just more, I consciously thought to myself, and the rest are going to have another portion.
Yeah.
So nothing negative. It was just an observation type of thing. And it'll be interesting to see when I do it again on Spectrum and Legend again, if it is the same portion size.
And what about chops?
Yeah, so chops, it's always a surprise one. Like, we weren't expected to go there, so I was quite glad after having to do hibachi, and then obviously Railroad is a very Asian menu as well. So I was quite glad when it did accidentally get changed from sushi to chops, because I love sushi, but I was glad to this change. Loved it. Absolutely incredible. Like an amazing piece of steak. I'd skipped dessert because I was very full that day, because I'd eaten around the ship all that day. But yeah, really lovely environment. It is in Central Park, so it's a really lovely space to go to. Like, you can't fault chops. It's a classic for a reason.
Yeah. See, we've never been lucky in chops. It's always been too busy every time we've been.
Really?
It's always, yeah. And I mean, but our friends went this time, and they just had a great time. So I think I think it's 2 or 3 times we've done it in full. Just too busy again.
Really?
Yeah. So that it's like they've overfilled them. I don't know whether it was the time we did it. So, but in principle, the food has always tasted great. It's just always been too manic.
Either rushed or. I guess we were up against the far wall as you go in there. So, like, we didn't have a table next to us or behind us. We were kind of like, because it was a table of, I think, 7 of us. And we were up against the back wall at the back of the venue. So maybe that's why, like, it was loud, but I do find Royal Caribbean in general, the ship is quite loud because there's obviously a lot of people on board and a lot of atmosphere, a lot of music. But yeah, I didn't feel like it was rushed or crowded or anything. There were empty tables. But yeah, I had it was nice. Like, I don't think Chops is the best steak, and Royal, if you're listening, I apologize for saying this. I don't think Chops is the best steakhouse at sea by a long shot, but I've never had a bad meal in the few times I've tried it. I've always had a really lovely meal type of thing. It's just, I think other specialty steaks on other cruise lines, namely Princess and Holland America, are better. But yeah, it's a good meal. I would never skip it if you gave me, and I would always happily do it.
Yeah, I liked Princess steak. I really like Princess steak. But I really like Central Park 150. Is that there? Is it 150? 150?
No, I didn't recognise it. What cuisine is that one?
It's like,
is that French? The French?
French American. French American.
Yeah, definitely not on this ship.
Let me have a look.
Yeah.
Let me see what restaurants there are.
I think there's like Pier 91 or Pier 1, I think it's called, which I think is the equivalent of that. And that's down on Surfside.
Hollywood Sub Club, Hooked Seafood. See, I'd like to try Hooked Seafood.
Yeah, we've got it booked for October. We didn't get a chance to do that. So we're going to try and do that in
Railway
October.
Swing
Hooked.
to Surfside Bites. Yeah. Wow.
I think the equivalent of that is going to be Pier 91, I think it's called, something like that.
Pier 7.
Yeah, there we go, Pier 7. I knew it was a Pier something. I think that may be the equivalent of like the American bites, at least anyway.
There's no mason jar either, is there?
No mason jar.
But I'd like to try Hooked Seafood.
We've got Hooked, and I think we've got Pier 7 booked for next time as well. So I think Pier 7's a bit more casual because obviously they do their kind of like table service / a la carte. So I think Pier 7 is more of a casual kind of lunch, brunch, evening dinner type of place. But yeah, it does like tacos, buttermilk pancakes. It's very much kind of that casual. It's in the family area, so I would guess it would be a bit more kind of.
So that's more like mason jar then, I'd say.
That's what I would think. I think it would be like in that category of a mason jar.
Oh, the unlimited dining package on our sailing is £41 a day.
Yeah, we've added it actually for our October sailing. So
the unlimited.
Yeah.
Digressing. So tell me about the bars. Was there a pesky parrot?
No pesky parrot. You have obviously Schooner, you have Boleros, Lou's, which I never got to the bottom of what Lou's concept is, but Lou's is in the Central Park. Julian Pianos was the spot. I don't know whether or not it's just because there was a lot of adult onlys on this cruise, but the Julian Pianos is in the Promenade. It's in the upper area, and it's basically two pianos together. Apparently, it's popular on NCL. They do this similar concept.
Yeah.
But it's two different pianists. You do requests, and they basically play different songs. But I think what made it really cool was the cast members who have their own repertoire. One of them was an incredible beatboxer, which you have to see to believe because he looks like a right nerd. But he was just so talented, so funny. And then the female from the UK as well, then she was incredible and funny. And like they do an after dark version of it. So on select nights around about 15:15 midnight, they do an adult only version. And hearing them do their spin on WAP by Cardi B, is it? You know, the really like inappropriate song about a lady's middle bits. They do their own kind of they do their own version of that. We had songs from South Park being sung by the entire audience. Obviously, it was a ship with primarily Brits on there, so we had a lot of like the Wonderwall and a lot of like the pub classics from the UK was sung quite loud as well. But what was quite funny is then some of the Americans, like I think it's Justin or Jason, the guy was saying like, if somebody wants to tip me $1, I'll stop singing. So when somebody like the British like Sweet Caroline, which triggering, but they were singing that a lot. It was requested all the time. So it became a bit of a joke then to tip him to stop him singing it. But then people were counter tipping to get him to carry on as well. It's just like this really fun, slightly chaotic kind of party atmosphere. It was so popular. I think we were there every single night and it goes on until about 1 a.m. So that's a really popular spot. It's been popular on Icon and Star already, but I think it's going to be a great spot to go to if you're kind of like more live music, singing type of fun atmosphere. And definitely the adult only after dark show is a lot of fun.
Weird, isn't it, when it's a new ship because you can't get your head around anything.
There's a lot of like new to this class type of thing. There's a lot of bars that are on other Icon class ships. So like the lobby bar we never went to. So I think the number, the 1400, I believe is to do with the ship order number, if I remember rightly. So there's like that's in the Promenade as you enter. You've got the Overlook bar and the Rye on, I forgot what it's called, Rye and Bean, sorry. So they're both in the Overlook, which is in the Aquadome. One of them is just the traditional cocktail bar. The other one is more of a coffee shop / that's the one we talked about in the past, the coffee cocktail infusion bar. So those two are in the Overlook. Yeah, Lou's. If I click on Lou's, it's going to annoy me because I never actually got the bottom of what Lou's is supposed to be. Yeah, it's like meant to be in New Orleans. Here we go. So Big Easy to the Big Apple, jazz. There we go. So Lou's is the jazz bar. It was annoying me because I was like, I'm sure there's a concept. So that's in Central Park. So they had live music playing as well there. That looked like it had a great atmosphere. I just happened to walk past it the one time and never made my way into it. But that's a bar as well. You got obviously the Ale and Arrow or Arrow and Ale, which is the English bar. That's on the Promenade as well. That had live music go in. There's the Trellis bar, which is martinis, the Bubbles bar in Central Park, Boleros, Latin music. Playmakers is a separate area, which is incredibly popular because obviously it's FIFA season, musical, heaving every single night, just absolutely heaving with live music. there's so many bars on this ship. Like you just literally can go from bar to bar to bar to bar. Like, and what I love though is there's a bar for every atmosphere. So whenever Schooner was playing live music, they had piano playing. Boleros was quiet, so you could go over Boleros and have a quiet chat and socialize if you wanted to. But then they stopped and crossed over. So when Schooner stopped playing live music, Boleros started playing live music. So if you wanted to get together as a family or friends and chat with each other, you could. But if you wanted to go from like live music and follow the vibe, you could also do that as well.
And that's what I missed about on Odyssey, that there just weren't those spaces. I really missed that. There's a few bars, but not once you've been on a bigger ship, I think it just ruins you.
Yeah, that's the thing I appreciated, because we had like a mini reunion, for those of us who went on the China fam trip. So like we all got together in Schooner Bar, and it was nice. Like there was 7 of us together just chatting and reminiscing and talking about like what's coming up for Royal Caribbean and that. So that was a really nice chat, and it was great. You could do that in Schooner. You can just sit there and have a chat, have a few drinks, that you could still hear music, but it wasn't too overbearing type of thing. But equally, Central Park's a great space for that. You know, even when Luz was playing music, you could go down to the Trellis Bar, the other end of Central Park, and you could hear it, but it wasn't on in the space you're in type of thing.
So if you obviously, we've got Royal Caribbean fans that listen, and for me, what would be the one standout thing you think that they should look forward to?
It is definitely the wow factor. Like if you think the Oasis class is wow, you're not ready for Icon. I think they've just elevated that sense of wow above and beyond type of thing. It's just everything's so beautiful. And we were saying about it, like it's a big ship and you do a lot of walking around, but there's just always something amazing to see. Incredible like art installations, incredible. And this is just on a different scale. Like so when you go into the Aquadome marketplace, is by one of the elevator banks, but it's open in the center of it ever so slightly. And they've got this incredible, like, I think it was like 4 or 5 story chandelier installation piece of like all these people diving all between the different floors. You just constantly looking around of like, wow, this is so cool. And when you walk into the Aquadome, it's just, the scale of it is incredible. And then you walk beyond the Aquadome into like the overlook, where it's all that giant glass front of the ship. And you're like, how is this even possible? You're just constantly mesmerized by like, how is this possible? How is this ship able to have all these spaces and have all these venues and have all this entertainment? And how do they fit it all in? And not overwhelmed. Well, you feel overwhelmed the entire time. You're just constantly like, there's just so much I'm going to see and do. And time flies because there's just always something to do.
That is the worry about a ship like that, is that you don't want to get off. It's just stay for the night.
Yeah, it's a shame she's doing 7-night sailings. Like obviously the transatlantic is like 10 nights, I think, or 11 nights type of thing. But 7 nights will definitely not be enough. But I think that's great. That's great because it shows you're not going to get bored. It's not one of those where by day 3 you're like, well, I've been to every bar, I've seen every bit of entertainment. Like, you know, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, to have the full production of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory on board, you know, to see Shockwave, the Aqua Theatre show. And we were seeing them in preview, so they were like stop and starts and a couple of mishaps, miscues, things like that. Like, but they told us up front, like, we're still rehearsing. This is a preview. The ice skating show, and just to have the drones overhead and interacting with the ice skaters as they're performing. We didn't see the signature show in the main theatre. We thought we'd save that for when we go back on in October. And there's other shows that aren't launching straight away. They come in as the season goes on. They're doing shows like gradually. So I think like there's an America's Got Talent show in Royal Theatre that will also be ready, I think, by about September time, I believe.
You messaged me this because obviously you know that I've just been scratching my head about Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Yes.
So the children. Tell me about the children.
So Charlie and the Chocolate Factory is incredible. I thoroughly love that. And it's my first time seeing a full kind of Broadway West End production on board a cruise ship. And there's no scaling back. It is phenomenal. And the talent of the performers is incredible. But yeah, Charlie is played by a child actor. 2 boys are basically sharing the role for the first season, at least anyway. And the way they're managing that is they do a month at a time. So them and one of their parents lives on the ship for a month. He does classes on board the ship. So he has to go and do school on board the ship, and then basically they kind of swap. So when one child goes back to land, the other child comes on and takes over the role. Yeah. Phil knows the name of the kids. I forgot them, but one of the kids was Harry Potter, the infant Harry Potter on Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. So he's been on Broadway already, and he's been kind of on the West End. Sorry, he was in another performance role as well. The other Charlie It's his first major role, but he's graduated from one of like the most prestigious schools in the UK for theatre and drama performing arts. So they, again, really high-end talent on board, incredible. Like, I normally don't like child singers or child actors in theatre. I'm one of those, I just don't. It grates on me a little bit, but very talented, very good. And the production is so good for that show.
So the people that play the other kids, are they young-looking adults?
Yeah, basically, yeah. So all the other kids are kind of standard, I guess, actors. They're not kid actors. So like, yeah, the other, like, what's his name? Augustus Glump and Veronica and Violet, sorry. They're just standard stage actors. Obviously, they're kind of, they do look young. I think they're probably on the younger side of casting, or they're short to kind of create that illusion. But yeah, they stand. I've got them in my brochure. So when they gave us, I could probably tell you the names of all these actually if I just read what I was given. But we were given an entertainment manual that explains all this and tells us the cast. But yeah, they're all, if I can find the page. The one thing you can't express to people who've maybe been on other cruise ships is this.
So I keep yawning, sorry. It's because it's like 30 degrees in here, not because you're boring me. Just leave that in. But I'm so hot. I've got a fan on me.
It is very hot. The one thing that I always forget about whenever I go on a Royal Caribbean ship is just how big the cast is for every single show. Like, I think they have the biggest cast at sea type of thing, but I believe this is, that's the leadership team. Sorry, that's not the actual cast. But, well, there you go. That sheet, and it's not going to come up on camera type of thing, but there's a full sheet, and that is the cast for Charlie and the Chocolate Factory alone. There are so many actors. Oh, the one thing that blew me away, there's a full orchestra for Charlie and the Chocolate Factory on board. A full orchestra, and they don't reveal it at the beginning. It's literally revealed at the end of Act 1, or even though it's not split into 2 acts, but you can tell, like, this is Act 1, Act 2. So from when he goes from kind of London, I guess, or before they go into the chocolate factory, sorry, they reveal literally the partitions on the side of the stage open, and all of a sudden it's revealed that there is a full orchestra, 15-piece orchestra. I was gobsmacked by that point. I thought like I'd seen everything by that point, but wow, just for Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, a full 15-piece orchestra, mind-blowing.
I'm sure. I mean, I didn't go and see Mamma Mia when I was on Allure because I've seen it so many times. And as you know, I was with the anti-theatre, who doesn't like theatre. So I don't tend to go to many shows. But we went to see an orchestra, like a band. So I'm assuming they were on Mamma Mia
Possibly.
as well. So, but
I've never seen it on any other.
It'll be in a contract, won't it? With it, like stuff like Hairspray, and it's surely. Because if you go to see it in the theatre, it will have an orchestra.
I've never seen it before. I've never seen a full production show on any other cruise line, if you get me. And I've seen house productions. So like when you go watch like the Effectors on, when I saw that on Wonder and Spectrum, that's done to track type of thing. Any other show I've seen, even on like Princess, for some of their shows will have a mini orchestra. They'll have maybe like a couple of percussionists, but I've never seen it's not a full orchestra, but I've never seen an orchestra of that size on a cruise ship. It's just, I think it's very powerfully enacted when they reveal it to you to make you notice that, like, oh my God, wow, there's an entire orchestra type of thing. But even just like the Aqua Theatre show, I was shocked by how many, I think there's a cast of like 15 to 20 people for that one show alone type of thing. And that show's an hour long and it happens multiple times over a sail-in. But I'm like, wow, these are massive productions. And then you think of all the technicians behind, the stagehands, the safety divers on the Aqua show, like the safety crew, like just... I've said this so many times for the 4 days we're on board, but nobody can touch Royal Caribbean for entertainment. Even just the people singing in the Promenade, the live bands, incredible bands that you probably would happily go see at your local bar or your local restaurant or your local venue type of thing. I'm always in awe of the talent that Royal Caribbean attracts and the way that they manage entertainment and the sheer respect they give to stage and production and entertainment. Like, if you're a fan of live music, live entertainment, live shows, I think Royal Caribbean is by far the best cruise line to go on.
Yeah, I think so. They're fabulous. I mean, I think the Quantum class, I don't know, didn't feel as good for entertainment for me. Yeah, all the other ships I've been on, they've just been phenomenal. And I think, either on the Odyssey, it wasn't the staff, it was the offering. I think it was just different, and it just wasn't.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think you can beat them. And I think you go on another cruise line, and we've been on another cruise line together, and been at the show and been like, What's this? What's this? And they were really proud of it.
They
So yeah,
were
I think once
they were very
once
proud
you've
of
seen Royal
it.
Caribbean, there is no
Yeah.
going back, unfortunately.
No.
But that's what I wanted to ask you is the aqua show, because it's not outside anymore, and I get why,
Mm.
because
Mhm.
operationally it's a nightmare, and if there's rough seas they can't
Mm.
do it, and all those
Mm.
reasons. Does it work
Mm.
inside, and where is it?
So it's in the Aquadome, basically. So the Aquadome is that giant glass structure at the very front of the ship, and it's split into kind of 3 different sections. So you have the Aquadome Marketplace, which is on the side, which is 6 eateries you can go to. So there was like a Korean, a Mexican, New Orleans type of place, and you could just go and grab. It's like very much like light bites bowl food almost. That was incredible. I love that. That's a great concept. And that is then joined into the central area, which is the Aquadome Theatre, which is then obviously where the water show happens. What's really cool is they've got these really great panels that can open and close. So during the daytime, they're open, so light can come in from outside. And then during the show, they close them, so then they can project onto them. So obviously it becomes the backdrop
Right.
of the Aqua Theatre show. But it is so impressive because like the divers fall from the very top of the Aquadome. So the divers
Yeah.
are even higher, I think, than they are on the Oasis class again, because they come in from the very roof of the venue. But then they do this incredible like water shower curtain as well as part of the show towards the finale. I think it just adds a bigger scale to it. And I think the fact that it's indoors means they can control the lighting a bit better. We went during sundown, so there was light still spilling in, but it just feels like the projections come alive more because it is in this semi-closed space type of thing. But then in front of the theatre is then the overlook, which again, I'm not sure if I posted any pictures of that yet, but it's kind of, that's where the 2 cocktail bars are. And it's just this really nice multi-use space. So during the daytime, it's obviously open and you kind of wander in there. It's a bit of a quiet space to chill out with. It's where Hooked is as well. So you've got kind of like coffee restaurants, food and things like that. And then it transforms into this event space then in the evenings. It's where they do the Pinnacle as well. Meets, so they close the panels down to project on like how many pinnacles they've got on board and all that type of stuff.
Oh, right.
It feels a bit like 270. Do you know like that feeling of 270 where it's kind of like a space during one day and then it becomes a venue for it? Is a bit like that. That's how it feels, at least anyway, but it's right at the very front of the ship.
I imagine more is Eden. That's how in my mind I see it more like Eden.
Is a weird like evolution of that concept. So it's a bit, definitely. It's a bit like Eden, a bit like 270. It feels like it's in that same bubble of kind of multifunction space that becomes a show venue at the same time. I loved it. I didn't miss being outside, and that's not because the show got cancelled one day because of bad weather, and that was just because the ship was bobbing too much. It wasn't safe. And obviously it's rehearsals, so I think that played a part of it as well. So it's not immune to rough weather, but it's definitely an incredible space anyway.
I can't wait to see it all. I'm so part of me is like, oh, but I love Oasis class, but then part of me is I'm just dying to see it and see what it's all like and experience it. And it's not long
there's
now.
so much. Like Crown's Edge, just quickly, I want to talk about Crown's Edge, because did you see the video I did of Crown's Edge?
No, I haven't seen that one.
So Crown's Edge, you know the Crown and Anchor logo?
What did you do it on TikTok?
I went out on Facebook, I think. I don't think I posted it to TikTok actually, but it's definitely gone on Facebook. But the Crown and Anchor logo on the outside of the ship, basically, there's now an attraction you can do over that. So there's a bit of a storyline behind it. You're due to escape Thrill Island because it's part of Thrill Island. So you're looking for a way off Thrill Island, and you get basically put on a jumpsuit and a harness, and you are strapped into it type of thing. But you walk out over kind of the deck, around the edge of the Crown and Anchor logo, and you're outside over the edge of the ship. And the floor just gets more and more difficult to walk on. So like originally it's circles and then it's giant crosses. And eventually you walk out onto this like plank ultimately with the Crown and Anchor logo on the floor. And then they count down. Typical, thrill attraction people, they'll count down and do it before the end of the countdown. But basically the floor drops away from beneath you, and then you're on kind of like a zip line almost that goes out over the edge of the ship and then back onto the ship as well. It wasn't as scary as I thought it is. Yeah, didn't it? Definitely. It was like, because it's not cheap to do otherwise. So I was like, if I'm not paying for it, I'll go do it.
How much is it to do it?
It's about $100. It's not cheap to do.
Yeah, I don't think I'm that bothered, actually. I'd do it.
Which is why I did it.
Yeah, but I'm not.
Which is why I did it on the preview setting, because I was like, if I had to pay, that would be a reason to not try it. It's not as scary. The worst part is when the plank drops, basically, and you drop down. Once you're actually swinging, it's actually quite fun, because you're like, oh, wow, look, I can see so much type of thing. But they film you while you're doing it as well, so that you get a video of you doing the experience afterwards. And what's really clever is they kind of interjected with footage, like stock footage almost, of like a drone showing a person in the same color jumpsuit showing out. So it really comes together really nice to show the sheer scale of how incredible kind of Crown's Edge is. It is amazing. The price is there to manage guest flow, because there's only 3 people that can do it at any one time. Only 3 people can be on the track at any one time. That's including somebody on the plank, waiting to go on the plank, and getting ready to walk onto the attraction. So not a lot of people can do it. So I think that's why there's such a high price on it. I've been told they do offer deals if nobody's booking it. So keep an eye on the cruise compass when you're on board type of thing, and look for notifications to see if they're going to drop the price on it, because you can get it cheaper than that. But it is around about the $100 territory before you get on the ship, at least anyway.
God, I just don't know if I could. I mean, what if something went wrong? I know that they've got all this covered, but
you do sign a very hefty waiver before you get on.
Yeah. I did the zip wire, and I felt like before I did that, I thought I could die. And it was fine because it's like 3 seconds and you're off it. But and you know me, I will do anything, but I don't know. I need to think about it.
It was great. I'm so glad I did it. And it wasn't actually as scary as I thought it would be. I was terrified at the idea of it. But for some reason, I think it's because I saw other people do it. Friends of mine were posting their videos. And I was like, well, if they're doing it, I want to do it now as well. So I almost missed the slot because we had that bad weather day. They closed it for one day. So the day I went to do it, the last day, they were like, oh, we got no slots available. I was like, can I go on the wait list then? Can I go on a standby list? And you went, oh, well, somebody's not showed up for one slot. Do you want to fill in their slot? But you need to go now. And I was like, okay, I'll go now.
Brilliant. Oh, so all the water slides are free, aren't they still? They're not charging for the water slides, are they?
No. Good. Water slides are free. Zip wave rider's free. I think it's literally Crown's Edge is the only attraction that's chargeable. I believe the escape rooms are free. I believe.
Are they?
I don't quote me on that. Yeah, I believe they are. Yeah, I say don't quote me on that because they were free for us and I was never told a price for them. But there were 2 escape rooms on board as well.
I really enjoy an escape room. Right, so any thoughts before we go? Yeah, we should. And I just want to do it. Oh, I can't wait. I'm so excited to go on now.
There's so much. This is the thing. Like, I had 4 nights on board and I barely scratched the surface. I just kept thinking to myself of like, I've not seen half the bars. I've not seen half the spaces. I got lost more times than I got found type of thing. There's just so much to see and do on this ship. Now, there's this argument about a ship of this size is the attraction. You are going on a ship like this because it is the destination itself. But I'm overwhelmed by the ports we're doing as well. Like, I think we've got 1 sea day of our 7-night sailing. I didn't appreciate that type of thing. There is a port every single day as well, which on one hand would help because people, I think so. Both because we're doing the same itinerary, aren't we? I think every single day is a port day apart from one.
I always struggle getting that by now. Parma, lovely. Marseille, I really want to go to Longchamp. Florence, I want to Spezia, Cinque Terre, Rome. We might have to have Naples, Capri. I love Rome, but I think Rome would be the one that I'd rather go and stay overnight and do a couple of days.
We're going to stay on the ship, I think, definitely for October. And I think if you find something you want to do and you're happy to do, we may join you in May next year. But definitely this year, we're definitely skipping Rome. We've already decided that that's going to be our kind of content day because the ship should be quite quiet on that day. It's also a turnaround day, isn't it? Because they embark. And I guess a boring kind of, I'll check the Caribbean, but a boring kind of, where does she sail then? So during the summer months now, she is going to be in Europe this summer and next summer. That's already been agreed. So from around about May till about September, October time, she will be in the Mediterranean doing 7-night round trip sailings from both Barcelona and Rome. They overlap. So you just embark when the ship gets to Rome or Barcelona. So that's kind of where she's going in the Med. And then she goes to the Caribbean for winter. I'm going to log in and check because I can't remember which port she's doing. I believe it's Port Canaveral, but I'm going to double check. But in the winter, at least anyway, you can do 7-night sailings year-round from Port Canaveral and Miami on an Icon class ship. So whether that's Icon or Star or Hero when she launches, and I believe Legend adds to that in the winter months. But I'm just going to double check because I don't know. Fort Lauderdale she's doing, sorry. So she does Fort Lauderdale in the winter. So I think now you have an Icon class from Miami, Fort Lauderdale and Port Canaveral.
Oh, that's just brilliant. That's just, and that's, I suppose, why they're doing all the small alternative. Like, I mean, we're doing Independence, aren't we, as well next year? I mean, I am looking forward to that, but it's going to be after Legend.
Yeah, it's a very different experience, I think. Like, I think you have to be prepared for it as a large ship cruising experience, and the ship is as much the destination as the itinerary. But we are lucky that Royal is still doing great itineraries. They're classic itineraries, like they are classic ports that a lot of cruise lines do, but they are great itineraries to have nonetheless. Like they're all wonderful ports that if you can't find something to do on 3 out of the 5 ports, you're really struggling as a fan of cruising.
I just think they're brilliant ports. I think that all of them, I'm now thinking which ones can I drop, and I'm struggling.
Do you get what I mean? There's always something to do in every one of them.
Yeah, because I want to spend more time on the ship.
Well, and that's why, like, we booked it again. We didn't know we'd won this opportunity to go on board for the previous sailing at the time we booked our October sailing. So that was by the by. But we were like, well, no, we still want to go because I don't feel like I've done enough. And then, when I messaged you and you were like, well, if you do decide you want to kind of not join us, I won't be offended. But I was like, no, I definitely I know I'm going to want to go back on again because there's just so much to see and do, both in port and on the ship. There's never going to be enough time on this incredible ship. And, you can go from all the ships are similar. So Icon, Star, Legend, Hero, there are, I think, 3, maybe 2 or 3 more on order as well. So there will be, I think, 7 or 8 Icon class ships in the next 5-10 years. And they're all going to different places. They all have incredible ports and they all have unique features and experiences to each one of them as well. So just it's such an exciting and incredible class. And yeah, I'm very grateful that I get to go back on again soon.
Can't wait. And I've got to wait a year, but I will be in California, so I can't complain.
So, guys, that is literally the tip of the iceberg on this incredible ship. There is so much more I could talk about. I don't have an awful lot yet. I've done a quick, 15-minute overview, which is a bit more visual, but it pretty much talks about everything we've talked about here anyway, just in a shorter version of it. But I have that on YouTube. I haven't put anything on my website yet because I haven't had a chance to. But if you are interested in sailing with Royal Caribbean, I would definitely love to help you, especially on this incredible class of ship. You could find me online everywhere under magical-traveler.com, or my socials is magical_TRVLR. And then, Sarah, I know you are the queen of Royal Caribbean. You have a ton of guides everywhere. Where's the best place and what type of content can the guys find from you?
So I think definitely for this itinerary, obviously we've not been on the ship, but I've got loads of port guides for most of those itineraries and stuff like how to self-explore port, how to get across to Chicotera, how to get to Sorrento from the cruise port. So I will share those links. And then I do think Kieran's video is great. I've watched half of it, and if you want to get a really good visual look at the ship, then definitely Kieran's video. But yeah, we're on Mini Travelers and I'll share the links to those.
Brilliant. Yeah, definitely check the links down below, guys. And if you're watching on YouTube, leave us a like and hopefully subscribe to this video. And if you are on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, I think is the place we go out to, and you want to subscribe to us, but also leave a review for us as well. Please, we don't have that many reviews, but it would definitely help us if you could leave us a nice little review as well to say you've enjoyed this. And let us know what you want to hear from in the future. If there's any topics or tips you want, we're more than happy to take requests. But we have lots more to share in future episodes. So we will see you on the next one, guys. Take care. Bye.
Bye.